we share, with a dash of this and a pinch of that, mixed all up with care. The best company and conversation, recipes and new creations. We're cooking up something good here at home. We are cooking up something good here at home.
Praise the Lord. This is so nice. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us for this very special edition of At Home. As you can tell, that's not our normal open. There's a few friends we just dropped in here today. You know, there's a lot of people here today because they're here for our open house. That's why we're here in the middle of the afternoon. And look at those beautiful faces. I'll tell you, these are family, just like you are, because you've joined us today. And it's been raining, but that's okay because we are having a good time. We have a big tent pitched outside, and folks are moving in and out of the building. We're having tours, and they've kind of just settled down now, some of them, just to get a chance to watch at home because we don't always have the opportunity because we don't have a facility to accommodate a studio audience. Now, that would be the ultimate. And someday I believe the Lord's going to let us have that so that folks can come up all the time and watch at home. But we're glad you're here today in the studio, and we're really glad that you're watching by way of television. Now, when they said we're going to have an open house, I said, well, what can we cook for the folks today that would be something that everybody could enjoy and everybody could make very easily? And so I was thinking about it, and I thought, you know, we haven't done cookies since Christmas, and here it is the middle of July, and you're thinking, cookies. But this is such an easy cookie. You put it together real quick. It bakes very quickly, only 10 to 12 minutes. And it's something different because my husband, Paul, he likes sugar cookies. In fact, his mom always says those dumb sugar cookies that Paul likes because they're just a plain little old dough. But they're always heavy, and I like a butter cookie. So I thought, well, let's put those together and see what we come up with. And I have made a cookie entitled the CTV Sugar Melt. Does that deserve anything, folks? But, no, you best not applaud until you taste it because it may not be what you're thinking of. But anyway, we had a good time developing this, and we're going to get started making this cookie. And we only wish that you could be here to taste it. But you have to take the ingredients down as we're doing it because we're not. Listen to me, we're not sending the recipe out. Please do not write to us for it because we can't do it. This is just something we did impromptu. The only way that you can get this recipe is go get your pen and paper right now so that you'll be prepared when we start the recipe. There's a few people I have to introduce to you that I don't get the opportunity to do this with very often. And they're special people who are part of this program. And the first one, this is Lisa Beck. Come over here, Lisa. Lisa is my right hand, believe me when I tell you. Lisa has graduated from the Pittsburgh Culinary Institute, and she keeps me on track with recipes. She says, chop it this way, do it that way. She helps me out a lot. Every kitchen needs to have a Lisa, and I appreciate her a whole lot. Thanks, Lisa. The next person I'd like you to meet is a very dear friend and another right hand of mine in our office area. She's the lady that corresponds with a lot of you. She sometimes makes phone calls. She's a very special lady, and her name is Rose Jevnikar. Come over here, my dear. This is my sweet friend. She also made this beautiful apron that I'm wearing today. Thank you, my dear.
You're welcome.
All right.
My pleasure.
Rose Jevnikar. We're glad she's here. Also, a lady who I absolutely could not do this program without because she does everything. She's our associate producer and a very good friend of mine, and that's Linda Wilson. She's right over there. Yay, Linda! And of course, we don't want to forget you at home because you're a very, very important part of this program, of every program. How many saw Joe DiNardo here the other night? Did you see that program? He made the marinara sauce. He is the nicest guy. He just is a pleasure to be around, and that sauce is good. You have to try it. I'm telling you, you have to try it. So if you've got the recipe, don't be afraid to try it. You'll enjoy it. Well, we better get ready with these cookies. And as I put it together, now be sure you have your paper and pencil ready because I'm going to start putting things in here and we're going to have the ingredients for you, so write them down. First of all, we're going to take a cup of butter. Now, you need to do this in a mixer because it's easier in a mixer than doing it by hand. You can do it by hand, I might say, but it's just easier if you have a good strong mixer. And this is softened butter to room temperature because it's easier to incorporate if you do it that way. Next, we're going to add a cup of sugar. This is regular granulated sugar. Notice I haven't turned anything on yet. This is powdered sugar, and we're going to put 1 cup of powdered sugar. Are we getting the ingredients on, gang? Everybody's finding it? Okay, good. Next, we're going to do 1 cup. Now, this is Wesson canola oil. You can use Crisco oil. I wouldn't use olive oil. That's too heavy an oil. Okay? And we're just going to put the oil in there. Now, remember, this is a cross between a butter cookie and a sugar cookie. Now, we're going to give it a crank. And you want this to mix until it gets creamy. And that doesn't take long at all, believe me. You'll see the sugars. What I thought keeps this cookie soft is the fact that you're using some powdered sugar and some granulated sugar. If you use all granulated, get that grainy feeling to a dough. You know what I mean, ladies? Well, what is happening here? This is, losing my apron. This, when you use the powdered sugar with it, it seems to incorporate and it keeps it soft along with the oil that you're putting in the recipe, okay? So this is pretty good. Want to make sure, nice and creamy, okay? Now we're going to add 2 eggs, 1 at a time. You know what I always tell you, don't just crack them right in there. Let me move this over here. We crack them in a bowl first in case there's something wrong with it, and we haven't ruined the whole recipe. So at this point, we're going to add 1 egg, and you want to beat after each addition. All right? So let that beat up pretty good. How we doing, Dale? Good. Okay. And when that's beat up pretty good, then we're going to add the 2nd egg. All right? Now at this point, once this egg gets in, I like to stop it because sometimes this blade doesn't hit the bottom of your pan, and if it doesn't, you don't get everything in the bottom creamed into your batter. So I like to scrape down all around the edges, make sure that everything is thoroughly blended. Nothing worse than making a cake and you start to pour out the batter and then there's this big clump of flour or something at the bottom that has not mixed in. You think, oh, bet you all the baking powder is in that little clump too, huh? That means your cake's going to be about this high, right? So you want to be sure that you scrape it down, scrape across the bottom, make sure everything, this feels pretty good. We must have got this one good. All right. It still feels a little grainy, so we're going to let it keep going. And now, what we have in this bowl is 4.5 cups of flour. Now, I don't know if a lot of people realize this or not, but it depends on the kind of a day that you're baking as to how some of your things will turn out. Does everybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Did you ever try to make something with a fondant on a rainy, humid day, and they're supposed to puff right up and they're about this big? Well, today is a humid day, and I think it might have an effect on this, but then again, it might not. We're all in this together. We're going to try it. But you have to remember that the atmosphere outside, you don't want to bake on a damp and rainy day usually. It has to be a nice, clear, crisp, cold, or a warm day that has very low humidity. Anyway, we're going to put 4.5 cups of flour. All right? Into that 4.5 cups of flour, we have added 1 teaspoon of cream of tartar. Unusual, huh, for a cookie. Usually you put that in egg whites to make them nice and high for a meringue. But we're putting it in the cookie. And a teaspoon of baking soda. 1 teaspoon each. And then we're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla at the very end. Now, you don't add this a little bit at a time. You add this all at once. This is going to be a treat. This is, you know, I like this mixer, but I can never get this in this bowl without slopping it everywhere. Let's try it here. Here we go. Did I miss? Oh, well, it'll be all right, won't it? Thank you. I appreciate that. A little child shall lead them, and he just did. Okay. Anyway, we have the flour. Remember, the soda and the cream of tartar is all in there. Now we're going to give that a whirl. And the pot is moving. Let's wait a minute and get this back in here. There we go. I did these at home and the flour was just flying everywhere, and of course then you have the mess to clean up. You know, I hate when that happens, just don't like that. But this makes a heavy dough, but it's still kind of a moist dough. It comes together, and when it starts to get about like that, like you feel like the mixer's gonna burn up, it's time to add the vanilla. Now, I just added about a teaspoon, more or less. Okay. Now, this is what I like about this mixer. I give it a one fast whip the whole way around the bowl, and then you know everything's in there, right? Now, when it gathers together, you know your dough's ready. Now, at this point, you would not want to go and let the dog out. You can't do that because that will make the dough tough. You can't let it beat and beat and beat. Sometimes you have to do that to, you know, you're supposed to let it beat, but you don't because it'll make the cookie very tough. Now, you say, Arlene, that looks kind of thin to be a cookie dough. Well, I'm telling you, on a day like today, we might need to add a little more flour. Lisa, could you get me just a little bit more flour, since about a half a cup. And when you add more flour to something, don't just dump a whole half cup in there at one time. What you do is just add a little bit at a time, because this is just a little bit too moist. I can tell how it's coming off of the beater here. It needs to stand up, but it shouldn't stick that much to the spatula. So we're going to add, this is just all-purpose flour too. This is not self-rising flour. There is a difference. If we made this with self-rising flour and it added baking soda, our cookies would be this high. They would be huge. So when you use all-purpose flour, you have to have something in there to cause it to rise. If you use self-rising flour, then you don't add any kind of a rising agent. Okay, so we're going to add just a little bit of this. A little bit at a time. Okay. Still looks like it's a little moist. Now, you may have a problem with adding too much and you get it too dry. I'll show you what happens if you do. I think I'll add just a little bit more here. No salt in this recipe. Don't need the salt. Give it one more. Okay, I think we're there. All right, we're going to scrape and clean off the blade. Now this, because it's obviously much too soft to roll, we're going to put this in the refrigerator. And you know, I used to hate refrigerator cookies. I think, oh, I want to mix it up, make it, and get it over with. But trust me, this is worth mixing up and then go and do a load of laundry or whatever you're doing and then come back to it, because you don't want to leave it in more than about an hour. And if you have to leave it in more than an hour, before you start to make them, let it come to room temperature a little bit, because the dough gets too hard when it gets too cold, because there is butter in this dough, all right? Okay, so now this goes. We're going to cover this up. And you know you have to cover stuff when you put it in the refrigerator, because you don't want any kind of aroma from something else. Maybe you just had Joe's marinara sauce the night before and the garlic is pretty strong. So you don't want that smell to get in your cookies. So you're going to cover this real well. Okay? And this goes to the refrigerator for at least an hour. All right? I know everybody doesn't have brown boxes in their refrigerator like I do, but this is where we're keeping all the hot dogs we've been serving all day, is in the refrigerator. All right, so by the time, Lisa, could you help me just move this out of the way, please? I'll swap you places. Yeah. All right, when you get done, when you're done with it, this is what it's going to look like. Now, we mixed this batch up earlier. Yeah, just move, push this. There we go. That's fine. And I need the cookie sheets. Very good. Thank you. These are greased. Very good. All right. Now, you have to have a little platter of sugar. You need a little dish of cold water. And you need some kind of a jar, or honest, anything that has a design on it you can use. Everybody see this? This is a friend of ours brought this home from their honeymoon for us. And this has a starburst on the bottom. So what I do, I use this, but I'll show you. You can use a fork if you don't have a fancy something or other, but you can find these in the most unusual places. Like those little apothecary jars, you know, that you get, the little glass jars. The lids on those, they have that little starburst effect. You could use that. Anything that has some kind of a design is what you're looking for. You take, see how nice this is to work with? Look, we made this about an hour ago. It's so nice, and it's still pliable. It isn't hard, it isn't dry. You roll them into about a 1-inch ball, okay? Drop them in the sugar, cover them like that, place them on your sheet, okay? Now we're gonna do this, and we're gonna have fresh cookies here. We've baked some already, but we want you to see how easy this is. After you have made your 1-inch balls and you've filled up a whole sheet, put your dough back in the refrigerator if it's a hot day, like today. Because if this gets too hot, it'll get too moist and the batter will be all over, the dough will be all over your hands. So you want to keep this good and cool, okay? And after you've done that, then I take this bottom of this mug, I put it in water, put it in sugar, and then I just place it over each. Is that nice or what? Did that turn out? Can everybody see that? It comes out so nice. It's got that nice little print on it, and it's got these little marks on it. What did you tell me? They look like sand dollars. And it's so easy, and what the end result is a very moist, buttery flavored cookie. That's an easy recipe, isn't it? I think so too. We're going to continue baking some, but Linda, I'd like you and Rose, please, to come up, and we've got some platters of cookies that we want everyone to taste. Now, this is a mass taste test here, okay? And I want to hear what everybody's thinking about these cookies. So please, okay? We have some for everybody. Okay? Lisa, yeah, maybe we can help over on that side. There we go. I wish you folks at home could be here to enjoy this with us, but we know that you can't, but let me recap the recipe for you so that while they're serving, we can let you know in case you missed one of the ingredients, okay? Here we go for the recap. This is CTV's Sugar Melt, all right? First ingredient is 1 cup of butter, 1 cup of regular sugar, 1 cup of powdered sugar, 1 cup of Wesson oil or Crisco oil, 2 eggs, 4 1/2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of cream of tartar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and some additional sugar. Now, what you do with that, you cream together the butter, the oil, and the sugars. You add the eggs one at a time, beating after each one. Combine the flour, the baking soda, and the cream of tartar, and then you add that flour mixture to the sugar mixture. Then you add the vanilla. Let it mix real well. Put it in the refrigerator and let it chill from 1 to 2 hours. Bring them out, roll them in 1-inch balls, roll them in sugar, place them on a greased cookie sheet, and bake at 375 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes. And that's basically what the CTV Sugar Melt is. What do you think, folks? Good? All right. Good. Well, great. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad everybody's getting a taste. What do you think? Who's got the microphone? Linda, you got the microphone? We want to get some firsthand responses to what they think about the cookies. Dale, why don't you, let me see somebody over here who's willing to give me a comment. Okay, here's a guy right here in the front row with the purple shirt. What do you think, Dan?
They're excellent, really good.
Are they good?
Yes, just melt.
Do you like cookies?
Oh, I love them.
You like cookies?
Look at me.
Could you grade this cookie from 1 to 5, 5 being the best?
I'd give it a 5.
All right, a 5 on the cookie.
Really good.
Okay. Thanks, Dan. Who else? Somebody else have a comment? Okay, here's the lady right here, Charlotte.
Worth breaking a diet for.
Worth breaking a diet for.
Worth breaking a diet for, yes.
Thanks, Charlotte. I'm
6.
Well, good. Oh, she gave it a 6. Boy, that's good. Anybody else have a comment? Somebody else here? Anybody else? Everybody get a cookie, first of all. Everybody get cookies? Good. Anybody else? Oh, here's a hand back here. Hold on just a minute. Let them get the microphone to you, dear. Here we go.
1 cup of granulated sugar and 1 cup of powdered sugar.
Right.
Oh, thank
Right. There's 2 cups of sugar, one's granulated, one's powdered, okay? All right, anybody else? Oh, here, over here. Oh, okay.
I think the consistency is just excellent.
Good, that's great. Dale, over here, some more comments? Okay.
It really is a sugar melt. It melts right in your mouth. It's
It does.
delicious.
That's what
Really
amazed me
is.
when I put it all together. I thought, you put it in your mouth and it's gone, right?
Uh-huh. It's
gone.
delicious.
Well, I'm glad. Good. Would there be anything anybody would do to that cookie to change it or make it better, do you think? What do you think about icing? Who votes for icing? Oh, the kids. Every kid in the place just raised their hand. Okay. I don't think it needs icing. Here's a lady back here. Linda? Whoever has the microphone. Okay. Wait just a minute. Let's get a mic there. This is so much fun.
This is delicious. I think maybe some cinnamon on here would taste good.
Okay. Somebody said it might be kind of like a snickerdoodle then.
Could be.
Would it be kind of the same? Okay, but that's a good thought. I thought once, there's a man way in the back over there, Dale, that we need to get the mic to. Okay? Okay,
They'd be good with walnuts.
they should be big as walnuts?
They would be good with walnuts
Oh,
in.
ground walnuts. Good idea. There's a hint. Let's try that. Over here, Dale's another one. Oh, okay, wait just a minute. Dale's running all over the place. Right here, second row.
I think perhaps changing the flavoring once in a while from vanilla to maple
Or lemon?
or
I thought
orange or different flavors.
All right. See, I thought about
And you
grating
get a
little
variety.
bit of orange or lemon in there, and maybe put a little bit of orange or lemon
Rind,
juice in it.
yeah.
Good idea. Very good. Okay, over here some more. This is wonderful. Front row, go ahead.
Hi, your
Hi.
cookies are delicious.
Thank you.
I make soda cookies, and I change the vanilla to different flavors, especially strawberry, and I add food coloring too.
Oh, that sounds
really
good.
good.
Strawberry flavoring. Where do you get strawberry flavoring?
In a store.
Just in a regular supermarket?
grocery
Oh,
store.
okay. That's good. All right, anybody else? There's a lady right in the back, right there. Not too far for you there, Dale. Okay.
I'm going to be different.
Go
I
ahead.
think you should open a cookie factory and put people to work.
Like Mrs. Fields, huh? That's so nice. That's so nice of you. All right. Does anybody have any questions? I know you've been here all day, or a lot of you have been here most of the day. And can we find out just how you feel about CTV? What has impressed you most since you've come here? What were you surprised most about? Did you think it was bigger than it really is? Don't you think that television is deceptive in that you think it's a big, spacious place and, wow, the studios, and yet when you look around, there are people sitting on His Place set watching at home, you know. So you know that this is not a great, big, large, and they're sitting on the Getting Together set watching us tape this at home or do this at-home program live. But what do you think? Have you been impressed with us? Do you feel like we're spending God's money very well? You don't see much waste here, do you? No, you don't. Because we feel that it's important to use what God has placed in our hands in a very, very accountable way to Him. We don't ever want to waste God's money. It's not our money, it's God's money. And we try to do everything. I've seen Mary Ann, our set designer, who did this set in all of our sets here. Doesn't she do a great job? Does a wonderful, she's right here, in fact. Come on, Mary Ann. I have seen Mary Ann Skiba do sets for under $100. Literally do a complete telethon set for less than $100. Do you know that secular television spends thousands and thousands? You know, the set that they did for the Democratic National Convention, just the screen, was $1 million. Can you imagine? $1 million. They had it there for 5 days. They tear it down. It's gone. $1 million. And I say, Lord Jesus, if we could have that kind of money to put into this place to spread the gospel, wouldn't it be wonderful? What could we do with $1 million gift? would be incredible, and it would last a whole lot longer than 4 or 5 days, and it might reach your loved one for Jesus. It just might. That's why we're here. That's what this is all about. I've heard people say, well, you know, Arlene, you really don't talk about God too much on your program. Well, I feel like what my program is a tool of evangelism. And so many of you folks today have come up to me and said, you know, my unsaved sister-in-law or my unsaved mother or my neighbor next door never watches Christian television, but they watch your program. And I feel like God put in me a desire not to say you need to have Jesus in your life, not to say that, but to demonstrate it. Just when we're talking about the, you know, one of the shows, I was cooking a rice pudding, and it cooked all over the stove. And you know, in a lot of homes, somebody would be swearing and cursing as they turned it off. Oh, look at this mess. But you know, that happens at home, doesn't it? Who here has not experienced a cookover on their stove? I mean, everybody. And if you look at this stove closely, you'll know there happens a lot right here, folks. But that's what I'm saying. You know, it's in our demonstration, our actions. It's in how when things happen, how we respond. That's how we demonstrate that there's somebody living in here that makes a change. Linda Rowan was cooking corn. The corn kept getting bigger. I felt like we were at the wedding, you know, where God kept producing. You know, the corn kept getting bigger and bigger, and she's cooking, and I'm looking and saying, oh, this corn's coming higher. But it cooks over. It happens at home. Well, that's what we're trying to tell people. This is home. And I'm a friend, hopefully, to people who are watching. It's one of the nicest compliments we get when we get our mail is they say, I feel like I've spent a half hour with a very dear friend. And I hope we can continue to be that, and we can as long as you continue to help us do what you can do to keep Christian television strong here in Pittsburgh and now all over the country. Isn't it great? It's so exciting. And later on today, we're going to be dedicating that satellite. You will not want to miss that. Please stay tuned. And I'm glad we could come today for this special edition. And as I say every week, I'm going to say to this audience, and then I'm going to say to you, be sure to come back the next time, right? Because it wouldn't be the same without you folks. And please join us the next time on At Home, because it really would not be the same without you. We'll see you then. Bye-bye. Yay, thank you, folks. Yes. I applaud you.
Fresh produce provided by Jordan Banana, wholesalers of fresh fruit and vegetables in Dravosburg, PA. Cookware provided by Woolies. Your favorite gourmet deserves the best for less at Woolly Balcony Cookware. Groceries provided by Foodland, where the answer is always yes. Cornerstone Television wishes to thank all our faithful viewers whose consistent prayers and financial support have made this program possible.